Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, 9:30, far too early for me to be doing this, but it's the end of a very busy week. I hope you're very, very well. I'm delighted to have with us today James Watts. James looks after the managed partnerships for Punch Pubs. So we'll be talking to James today, and it's all about how to run a pub. And if you want to run a pub and you want to know how to run a pub, James is going to share that with us. I've also got on board my business partner, Nick. Nick used to run a pub before he jumped ship and went into recruitment, and also decided to run a job board. And Nick used to be a tenant for Fuller's. So it'd be interesting to get both perspectives from someone who's been a tenant and somebody who's constantly looking for a people. So first of all, thank you, James, for taking the time out to join us today.
That's a pleasure.
Nice to see you, Nick.
Fantastic. No, thanks, Dawn. And you're right. I did take on a tenancy, which I'll happily talk about first-hand experience a little bit later. James, we met about 20 seconds ago, I'd say. Really good to meet you. So go on then. Let's get straight into this. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Punch, including number of pubs, employees, and everything Punch?
Yeah. So Punch has been going for 25 years in various different names, mainly Punch Taverns, but obviously we're Punch Pubs now. We've got 1,300 pubs across the UK. Around 1,100 of them are in the sort of lease and tenancy division, and then around 150 of them are on the management partnership side now. All of our pubs operate on a self-employed basis, and we're backed up with around 200 employees that are there to support them in the field and obviously in our head office in Burton.
I didn't realise you had so many, actually. So you've got a busy job there, James. So I think for me, what I'd like to know is, can you explain the difference between a managed partnership and a difference between a managed partnership and tenancy and leased?
Yeah, of course. So a management partnership for me is a great opportunity for hospitality managers that are looking to get into the next step of running their own pub. And if they've never done it before, they've always been sort of managed and employed. This is a great step in terms of getting into being self-employed, but knowing that a lot of the fixed costs are going to be covered by us, such as the utility bills. You pay a low deposit, so you don't have to worry about massive funding for it. And there's bags of support offered to you to help you run your business through the length of it. The agreement's for 3 years, and you'll get supported right the way through of that with an operations manager that will come and visit you on a 2-3 week basis. Can be more, can be less, depending on what you need. We will provide you with drink ranges that's provided by us, menus, food, marketing, all specific to your pub. You then receive a percentage of the turnover, of which you can pay out your staff, and that way you can focus on running a great pub. That's what we hope to do. It alleviates a lot of that pressure. And lets you get on with running it.
So for one person that doesn't really know too much, so are you saying if I was a general manager and I thought, do you know what, I want to take this opportunity of running a pub, I'd pay a very small deposit, I wouldn't have to pay any of the upkeep of the pub, none of the utility bills, and basically my salary would be paid on the profit I make from the pub. So for example, if I made £10,000 for that week profit after food, taking out all the food and the drink costs, then I have just pay myself a salary and my staff a salary.
Yeah.
And how long have these managed partnerships been going for?
It was launched about 4 years ago, possibly 5 now, in various guises. And we launched it as Falcon about 5 years ago, I think it was. And it's been managed partnership for about 1.5 years. So yeah, they've been around for a bit of time with us.
Do you think enough people know about these managed partnerships?
I don't think they do. I think it's one of those where you might have heard of a retail agreement or maybe like a franchise agreement, but they go by different names. So you do need to, I suppose, do your research and get to know a little bit about them. But for me, it's a good in between a tenancy and being a manager. I think it's a great step for that type of person.
I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot here. So so I've got a lovely pub that I've got from Punch Pubs, and does the accommodation normally come with the pub?
It does. It does. So yeah, if you've got a pub with accommodation that's got 2, 3, 4 bedrooms, we'll pay the utility bills for obviously downstairs as well as upstairs, and we'll even pay council tax as well.
You pay the council tax. So it's getting better now. Okay, so I'm running a pub. I've got a 2, 3 bedroom accommodation above the pub. I don't have to worry about my utility bills. I don't have to worry about my council tax. So all I've really got to worry about is the rental of the accommodation, I presume. And do I have to pay out?
No, you don't.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Sorry, Dawn. No, you don't pay any rent. So it's all provided by us. So
okay.
you are
you've
essentially
given me the pub, and I don't pay any rent. I don't pay any rates. I don't pay any utility bills. I run it as a standalone business, and all I've paid is a small deposit. You give me the keys. You make sure it's all up to speed. Why do you think that more people aren't taking this up?
I think there's a lack of, like I say, knowledge probably of what it's all about and how it works. I think it's a fantastic way of getting into running a pub. I really do. And I think, it's about education, isn't it, really? And getting to understand what's out there and how it works. But essentially, there's no real costs of it other than your staff turnover and a few other sort of small costs, cleaning products and things like that that you might need to cover. But essentially, we'll look after the maintenance of the pub. We want you to.
So if I've got a boiler that's busted or I've got a water leak, that would be down to you guys. But obviously, if I want to paint the toilets, or obviously keeping the toilets clean and keeping that would be down to me.
The general.
It's really low risk, isn't there?
Yeah, very, very. Yeah, I think it
is brilliant, isn't it? And
it's absolutely amazing. It's very, very different to the lease and tenancy setup, where obviously you've got a lot more responsibility. So it's purely about paying the staff, making the money. The risk is basically not making the business successful, and therefore you got to move on. But that's like anything, I suppose. So James, you've explained the number of pubs, huge company. What are the variety of businesses within Punch?
We've got a number of different pubs around there. So I would say predominantly our estate is community pubs, heart of the community, with food or a various degree of food. But yeah, sports pubs we've got pubs, some pubs in town, but not many. We've got, your traditional sort of village pub that's quite focused on Sunday lunches and things like that. We've got your real traditional community pubs that maybe are drinkers pubs as well. We've got a number of pubs that have got letting rooms in there as well. And, we've got a few sort of, I suppose, specialist pubs is what I'd call them, where they need a really unique offer, smokehouse or craft ale, that sort of thing. There's a pub out there, I think, for everybody. And we've got a number of them dotted around the UK. Obviously, we're UK based.
Say the least, yeah.
So Nick, you used to run a pub years ago, but it was on a tenancy and lease basis. Do you think, and you made a success of it, and then you decided to go into recruitment because you're all about, we know you're all about people. But Nick, do you think this would have been a real option for you if you'd had this years ago?
Yeah, I think so. At the time we actually, just to not to correct you, Dawn, and apologies for overspeaking you a minute ago, but I was actually running the recruitment business and recruiting actively at the time when an opportunity came up with Fuller's, actually very different style of business. but equally a very good business, and a pub that wasn't being run very well. My brother and I saw an opportunity to take it on, which he ran full time, and sort of to bring the customers back and to sort of really improve the offering, the environment, and the service. So through the leasehold, we bought the leasehold through negotiation, obviously. We then spent a week blitzing it, inviting customers back, and it was great for a couple of years. Would I have gone with the managed house option? I think, do you know what? I think there's something for everyone. At the time, that suited us really well, because it did give us the flexibility. We were tied to wet. We weren't tied to dry, so anything food was ours. Obviously, we bought barrelage from Fuller's. We had our own staff. We paid rent. And maintained, within certain elements of the leasehold, areas of the property, external, internal, from memory. And do forgive me, but it was back in 2006. But a really good way of getting into, to running your own pub. Here you're laughing at, to running your own pub without maybe having the option or the headache of the freehold and the full works. But then to look at the managed house option, that gives you more flexibility again. I think so. And I can see why there would be a really strong attraction, and you've got much more support from the pub companies. So I don't know. The answer to the question is possibly, but ultimately it depends on your personal circumstances and what suits you, really.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Sorry, James. Go on. What I was going to say was, just to clarify a couple of things that Nick has said. So I am presuming I know nothing. So, and I'm assuming that our audience and the people we share this will know nothing. So do we have to buy our food and drink through Punch Pubs if I got one of your pubs?
Yeah, if you're on a tenancy, then it is a wet tie agreement. So you'd have to buy all of your beers, your wine, your spirits. That's the standard agreement. And depending on the pub and the offer and the opportunity in there, we offer various levels of discounting. So there's always discounting. Obviously, if your pub's very price conscious, you're in a price conscious area, then that'll be reflected in the drink buying offer to you. With management partnerships, we're providing it for you. So you don't have to buy any beer from us. We'll give it to you. You just order it online and it's delivered to you. The same with the food. If we're providing the food, there are some pubs where the food option is up to you. So if you've got somebody that's more chef orientated and more food orientated, then they might be an option for those people to look at. But yeah, if you want to concentrate on your drink offer and have a good quality food offer, then we've got, again, a range of different menus you choose from, which you don't pay for. They're you just order what you want, put it in, order it in, it comes in, and you get your team to create it to the spec. So it's I suppose, as you can say, drag and drop into a pub. It's very much like that. It should be pretty.
But there must be some restrictions here. So you've given me the keys to this pub. You've given me accommodation. You've given me some food. You give me the drink. What's the restriction? Is it KPI led? What's the catch?
What's the catch? Well, I mean, I suppose ultimately, if you are getting a percentage of the turnover, and your turnover the percentage you get isn't enough to really cover your costs, then you're in trouble. Okay. So you do need to make sure that you are really controlling your payroll well. It's not running a pub. I think, as we all know, it's not a job. It's a lifestyle, I think. And if you want to run your own pub, you've really got to take that opportunity and run with it and live it and breathe it. So you can't employ huge amounts of people to do jobs. Apologies, benefits of working from home and then knocking at my door.
Love it. Keep it real.
So yeah, for me, there's the drawbacks, I suppose, potentially are that if you've got a particular style that you want to do in that pub, then you need to go with the format that we've got. So if it's a drinkers-led pub with a very sport orientation on it, then it's really important that you keep on that. We don't want you to start thinking about introducing your own food offer, or you can make suggestions around the drink side of it. But again, the the range of the drinks is pretty much set of what you be provided with. But again, it fits in with the style of the pub that you're in. So if it is a community pub where darts and pool and you've got a bit of a Sunday dinner and a burger sort of offer, then your entry level sort of beers aren't going to be, beer Moretti and the high end. It's going to be Carling or Foster's. So, there is that element of your products are set by you, but you should have a good range that covers all bases and should make it attractive to whoever wants to come in your pub, that there's something there for them.
So you said you've got around about 200 sites, is it? 200 managed partnership sites? Across the UK,
Yeah.
Geographical, what's their locations? I mean, is it literally from Scotland down to the southwest? What's the locations?
We don't have any in Scotland at the moment. The furthest north we've got is around Newcastle. And then they sort of spread, I suppose, as a pyramid all the way down the rest of the country. So, going down to Cornwall, Devon. We've got some in Kent, got a couple in London, around the East Midlands, a couple in Wales. They go all over around the west, the northwest, Liverpool, Cheshire. Yeah. So
where's the most difficult area to find people to run pubs for you? What's the most challenging area?
Southwest is pretty challenging. People.
I just did my never eat shredded wheat sort of thing there. Southwest, yeah. I don't know. Does anyone else ever do that? Never eat shredded wheat. I think that's something I learned when I was at school. So you talk about Devon, Cornwall down there.
Yeah, Devon, Cornwall. It's a beautiful part of the country, but it is difficult to recruit for because obviously the seasonality of it. You've really got to be able to plan and really devise your offer so it you make hay while the sun shines, literally, if the sun is shining. It's not here at the moment. But, you've really got to plan to be effective when you're really, really busy and obviously think about what you're going to offer in the winter months. That's a difficult area. Some of the northwest, so, Cheshire, Liverpool can be a bit difficult.
Liverpool, lovely, yeah. It's interesting, actually, because one's perception, and I've worked in recruitment for 30 years, and Nick's worked in recruitment for many years as well, where I think, actually, I would never thought, would it be Devon and Cornwall? Surely there'd have loads of people wanting to work down there, because that's people's dream, to live down there and work down there. So I'm going to start from scratch. If I was thinking of running my pub, where do I start?
If you've never run a pub business before and you've been in hospitality, then it's worth doing your research and finding out, which one supports you best. Yeah. If you've not got the pub experience, go and get some shifts in. So if you've been running in a hotel or something like that, you've got to make sure that you like it and you understand what you've got to do. Like I said before, it's a lifestyle choice. But, we offer various ways of finding out information. So there's information you get off our website. You can come to some of our events. So we're doing them, obviously, with everything that's been going on. We'll be doing some virtual events and we will hopefully be doing some more face-to-face events. So you can come to a pub across the UK that one of our team will be in to meet up and have a discussion. And, if it's right for you, great, we'll move forward. And if it's not, then we can suggest other things. But it's really, about exploring.
What loops do I need to jump through, though? What hoops or hoops do I need to jump through?
So you need a personal license. It's really important. If you're taking on a tenancy or a lease, you need to do PEAT, your pre-entry awareness training as well, which you can do online.
Is that the DII?
Oh, sorry, my dog's barking again now.
Don't worry, he's agreeing with me.
Yes, the bit. Sorry, I'm just going to close my door. Apologies.
It's all right. Don't worry about it.
My dog's barking.
What breed of dog do you have, James?
I have a Sheltie, Shetland sheepdog.
You should have
lovely.
brought him in.
Yeah.
Very good natured, but he's a very loud dog occasionally.
Now, but we can do what we like. So they could have a personal license. They're going to do PEAT, which they can do online for the British Institute of Innkeeping and BII. And then what?
And then you obviously need to have a level of funding, depending on the type of pub that you're after. But we're looking at a £3,000 deposit in a managed partnership, a maximum of £3,000. So again, really low cost.
Really low cost, yeah.
Wow.
And with the tenancy, you're looking around the £6,000 mark for a deposit.
But with a tenancy, I'm responsible for my rent and everything, can't I?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going down the managed partnership route here. So I've got a personal license. I've done my PEAT. I've got £3,000, and then I just come and see James once.
Yes, yeah. Come and see us. We'll have a chat. We'll talk about what you're after. You know, different pubs suit different people, so it's really important that you look at the style of pub that suits you. Obviously, if you've got the experience and the skills that match that pub that you're looking at, then brilliant. You'll have more of an in-depth discussion with myself, and then we'll get you to meet up with the area manager, or the operations manager, we call them. And you know, if they like you, they'll move you forward into the business planning part. So you'll do a business plan, you do a labour plan, and then you will, if you're successful from that stage, you'll meet up with the operations director, and get a sign off, hopefully from him or her. And then you'll do your training course. We offer a week's free training course to all of our publicans going in. You'll do that. As long as you pass that, which generally most people do, you'll go forward to do the legal side, paperwork, and you'll get your keys and you'll move in.
So you're basically being interviewed for a job, aren't you?
Yeah. It's quite a structured way. We do like to, you know, go through the structure and go through the right. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if it's not right for you, you can step away. It's just like you would do in a job interview. You know, if you don't think this is right for you right at the end, you don't sign the the contract, do you? So
over to you.
No, exactly. That takes me back to putting a business plan together, which is crucial. I think, you know, whether you're taking on a management position, a managed partnership, leasehold, or you know, it's always having that business plan to run a business is crucial. Okay, so I've got the keys. What next? How do I start to order stock and open the door?
So you'll have support from an operations support manager that will help set up. So if we've done an investment in there and no one's been running it, obviously while it's been closed down and stuff, they'll help you think about the launch and getting all of your drinks range in and your training as well. They'll do some training with your team as well. You'll do a relaunch, and they'll help and support you for the first, couple of weeks. And then you'll go on to being with your area manager on a more long-term basis. But yeah, it's not just here's the keys, off you go, open the pub. You know, there is that, like I say, that week's training course will give you some really good insight into, you know, the hints and tips of running a business, staff training, the till systems. But yeah, we'll be there to help support you for the first couple of weeks, you know, with lots of visits, lots of people coming in to help and support you, so that it's not as daunting as it's just giving someone a set keys and off you go. So
that's fantastic. No, so the support's definitely there. It's a win-win situation. It's in everyone's interest to make it a success, which is fab.
Yeah.
Right the way through the process, there's loads of people that are there to support. I mean, generally the recruitment managers, obviously I look after the management partnership, but we're there to support them as well all the way through the process, you know. And you know, I've been to a few launches. It's great to go and see a publican that you've taken through the process to seeing them open up the pub and you know.
So you help them afterwards. So if they, for example, if they need some bar staff and they don't know how to get the bar staff, they could come to you again and say, you know, I need some help here, and you'll be able to guide them with that.
We do offer a way you can advertise through some third-party platforms for jobs, but no, I mean, I'm very busy in terms of looking for publicans, so it's not something that I can get too involved in, sort of looking for additional staff and things like that. But yeah, we give them the platforms to use to advertise.
I want to ask this question, and then I want to end on a real positive. So, what do you think are the challenges, and why do you think some people? We'd like to think that everybody's been successful at this, but why do you think some people aren't so successful at it? What do you think are potentially the mistakes that people make?
It's a good question. I think
Sorry, I threw that in. Sorry.
Yeah, I think a lot of people make treat it like it's just a normal business, and they can just step away at 5, 6 o'clock. You've got to put the hours in. You've got to put the work in. I always think as well as if you start mixing. Pubs are sociable. We all love being in a pub, having a drink, don't we? But you've got to remember that running a pub is a business, and that's how you should treat it. So if you then start to go more the other side of the bar and start drinking with your regulars, I think you're taking your eye off the ball a little bit, and I think that's a mistake some people can make. And I think a big one is not looking at your business plan. Your business plan should be a working document, so keep referring to that. Don't be afraid to change stuff, but also don't be afraid to keep on at stuff that maybe hasn't worked just yet. It takes time to build things up. So if you're offering a quiz night on a Thursday every week and it's not successful the first 3-4 weeks, then it's worth looking at how you're marketing it rather than just chopping it and going, it's not worked. So you've got to persevere, and you've got to keep thinking about how you continue to keep growing your business. Don't be satisfied with what you've got. Think about how you grow, because ultimately, the more money you take, the bigger percentage you get of your turnover.
So we've gone past. I'm now a successful manager of a punch pub. Hooray! Can I have 3 or 4 if I wanted to?
The management partnership's not built for 3 or 4 realistically, because ultimately you're going to put another layer of management in there, which means you're going to have to pay them. And that will ultimately reduce the amount of money that you earn. So there's options definitely in the tenancy world and the lease world. That you can take multiple ones on, but it has been a challenge for us. Certain multiple operators haven't worked as well in management partnerships, because ultimately that relationship that you'll have with your operations manager, they want to talk to you about what's going really well and what needs improvements straight away, when they come in and do their visits on a twice monthly basis. And if they've then got to have that conversation with somebody over the phone because they're not obviously really managing the manager of that pub, that makes it difficult. But in terms of ambition, for me, there's no reason why, if you don't go into a pub that's taking 12, 15 grand and you really develop that and you move it to 15, 20, and then there's a pub that's doing 25, 30 that becomes available, that you could move up to that. We want people to be ambitious and move forward and make more money. Or move on to doing tenancy.
So tell me, James, and I'm not applying for a job here, Nick, just want to make that very clear. How much could I earn, or what? Please don't quote the pub, but how much successfully could I earn from running a managed partnership if I get it right?
It's uncapped, so the sky is the limit. We don't.
What about one of your successful managers? Do you know how much they're earning, or?
I'd say anywhere between sort of 40, 50,000, maybe. There could be more. I don't get to see, as a recruiter, I don't get to see what they're taking, so to speak, because it's part of the P&L.
Profit, because I haven't got no rent to pay. I've got, I'll be having a sandwich from the kitchen probably, and I might have a glass of water, because obviously I'm getting focused on my business and make sure I'm not drinking with my mates behind the bar. It's not a bad gig, is it?
No.
Good money.
No, really big businesses.
What happens at the end of 3 years?
Sign a new agreement, essentially, if you want to. So, unless you've decided it's not for you, you can give notice at any point. So if it isn't right for you, you can give notice, 3 months notice period. But essentially, if it's coming to the end of it, then we'll look at renewing and just doing a new agreement for you.
Nick, you got anything else? Any other questions to add?
Not really. The question that I'm not going to ask, and purposely haven't asked because we need a whole other session, is how you're feeling about pubs opening. But let's not go there because that's a completely separate conversation. But no, really, I think it's been quite insightful, James, and thank you so much. Obviously, look forward to meeting you in actual person at some point. But no, I'm out of questions, Dawn. Really.
So, Nick, are we going to open a pub between us? Hospitality Jobs UK pub?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
We've got another man. No, James, it's always a pleasure. And when you say to someone we're going to spend 30 minutes on a call, they think this is going to be quite nerve-wracking. I could spend another 10, 20 minutes talking to you.
Thank you.
Say thank you for your time. And for our audience now and the audience that we will send the video out, but we'll also send a link to Punch Pub's website. So if you are looking at wanting to look at what pubs are available, they're all on your website, aren't they, James?
Yes, yeah, they are.
So you can see what the pubs look like.
You can, yeah, and you can search by which pub agreement you want. So management partnerships, tenancy, or just everything.
Fabulous. Well, we'll put a link out as well. Thank you so much. We'll do this again in another sort of 2 or 3 months' time. But James, go for a walk with your dog. Have a lovely weekend. I hope you're not working the rest. Oh, no, you've got a call at 10:30. I know you have.
I have, yeah.
So thank you again for your time. And James, we'll speak to you soon. And Nick, always lovely to see you.
Always.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Don.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Dawn. Bye-bye. Have a good day.